He spotted the ear first, a black-tipped triangle shaking against the bark like a torn flag in the wind. By the time Ethan stepped from the trail and saw the rest of the animal, the air in his chest turned to ice. A lynx, ribs showing under matted fur, tangled in a length of cold chain that someone had left wrapped around an old sugar maple years earlier to hang a feeder. The feeder was gone. The chain stayed. A gust must have knocked it low. The cat had leapt, the loop had slipped, and now it bit into the foreleg near the paw. The animal's breath came in harsh, fast bursts. One eye stayed on Ethan. The other kept darting to the empty woods, as if searching for a door that no longer existed. Ethan works these hills. He knows the sound of tired wind and the weight of silence that means trouble. He dropped his pack, raised both hands, and talked low, the way you talk to a skittish horse. "Easy, friend. I'm not here to hurt you." His radio crackled at his hip. He switched it off. The lynx tried to back away, hit the end of the chain, and went rigid with pain. A deep rasp came from its throat. The chain rasped back. Metal against bark. A bad duet. He did not walk straight in. He circled wide, letting the animal track him, letting it choose where to keep him, giving it that tiny slice of control. He pulled a soft canteen from his pack, unscrewed the top, and slid it across the grass. The lynx stared. It didn't move. Its tongue flicked at cracked lips. Ethan backed off a step. Another. The cat lowered its head, took water with small, angry gulps, then flinched as a drop carried dirt into the cut on its leg. "Okay," he said. "We're going to try this. If you send me home bleeding, I'll still deserve it." He eased closer and saw the chain had not just wrapped. It had knotted through itself, a mess of rust and force. The link pressed into tissue. Around the tree, years of growth had swallowed several loops. Someone had never bothered to remove them. Not malice, not a trap, just a careless leftover that had turned into a cage. That made Ethan angrier than outright cruelty. Cruelty at least knows what it's doing. Neglect makes villains of cowards. He spoke to the cat while moving, letting it track the sound of his voice rather than the movement of his hands. He slid a folded jacket between his wrist and the chain. He tested slack. The cat snapped, a flash of teeth and hot breath, then staggered back as pain shouted louder than instinct. Ethan held still. He counted to 20 slowly, breathing with the animal, then reached for the multi-tool that lived in his pocket like a second set of fingers. The cutter bit. The lynx squealed. The lynx twitched. "Easy," he said. "Just noise. It's just noise." The first cut didn't free anything. The second made a little give. On the third, the chain folded like bad wire, and he pried it open with the plier jaws. Blood oozed around the link line. The cat trembled so hard the chain rattled like coins. He knew what had to happen next. He took his belt off and looped it loosely just above the joint to slow the bleeding. The lynx let out a sound that went through him like a blade. He stopped. He waited. He talked again, told the animal about his morning, about the coffee he spilled on the porch, about the neighbor's kid whose bike chain always falls off because he pedals backward. Nonsense words. Steady air. When the link finally slid free, the cat tried to stand and almost toppled. Ethan wrapped his jacket around the leg, not tight, just enough to keep the dirt out. He backed away, certain the cat would bolt. It didn't. It swayed. It stayed. "You can leave," he said. "I won't chase you." Instead, the animal blinked, slow and stubborn, and lowered its head. The message felt simple. It couldn't go. He checked his watch. Early afternoon. The closest clinic sat 20 miles downriver. He could call it in, wait for a truck and a cage, hope the cat didn't tear itself apart in the meantime. Or he could do something risky and do it now. He laid his pack flat and turned it into a stretcher using 2 saplings and a roll of paracord. It wasn't pretty, but it would hold. He slid it near, never crossing the cat's line, and braced himself. "Okay, buddy. This is the part where you either trust me or prove me a fool." He tucked his forearms under the chest, felt the pound of a heart too fast and too thin, and lifted. The cat weighed less than it should, all air and bone and pride. It didn't thrash. It didn't fight. It let him set it on the rig, then watched his face while he lashed straps around it, leaving the injured leg free. The walkout took forever. Roots tried to catch his feet. The stretcher flexed. Mosquitoes sang the song of July. A cloud passed over the sun, and for a moment the woods smelled like rain even though the forecast had promised blue. He talked the whole time. He told the cat about his first day on the job years ago when he followed bear tracks for half a mile before realizing they were his own, looped around. He told it about the woman at the hardware store who always rounds down a nickel because she hates pennies. He told it he was sorry for the chain, even though he did not put it there. In town, the clinic lights buzzed that bright, antiseptic buzz that means help is coming. Dr. Alvarez looked at the stretcher and didn't waste words. She moved with steady hands, like someone who has already made peace with hard decisions. "We'll sedate lightly, clean, stitch, fluids," she said, more to her team than to him. She slid him a glance. "You did good. Now get out of the way." He waited in the hallway and washed rust off his hands at a sink older than he was. The first bandage soaked crimson and was changed. The X-ray showed no broken bone, just soft tissue shredded by metal and a few tiny flakes lodged where they shouldn't be. Dr. Alvarez dug them out. The lynx slept, mouth slack, chest rising in a slow, heavy rhythm that finally loosened the knot in Ethan's own ribs. By evening, the cat lay in a quiet pen, hooked to a line that dripped life back into its veins. Ethan sat on a plastic chair and, for the first time all day, allowed the tremor in his legs to happen. The doctor came in with a coffee and nodded to the pen. "Strong animal," she said. "We'll keep watch through the night. You should go home." He didn't. He stepped out just long enough to call his sister. "Hey, Lila," he said. "Long day. Tell Mom I might be late tomorrow." He stopped by the market for ground turkey and a pack of gauze, the kind you buy when you don't know what else to bring. Then he went back and fell asleep in that hard chair to the soft metronome of the drip. In the morning, the lynx was awake. Not calm, not friendly, just awake in a way that meant the body had decided to fight. Ethan stood by the door. He kept his hands to himself. He didn't say much. The cat watched him the way a storm watches the horizon. Day by day it gained. Day by day the bandage got smaller. Dr. Alvarez showed him how to clean around the stitches. He learned the language of angry purrs that meant enough and the heavy exhale that meant okay. He kept the visits short. He came every day. A week later the cat stood without wobble. 2 weeks later it wanted the door. The clinic sat near the edge of town, where asphalt turns to dirt and dirt becomes memory. They drove at dusk to a stand of pines that run to the river. Lila met them there. She had brought a cooler for the team and a thermos Ethan never gave back. Dr. Alvarez opened the crate and didn't step back. She just let space exist. The lynx stepped into that space like it was learning to walk all over again. It sniffed the air, nose twitching at pine and river and 100 small lives. It moved a few feet and stopped, as if surprised the world didn't jerk on its leg. It moved again. Ethan stayed behind the car. He didn't want to own this moment. He just wanted to witness it. The cat went as far as the shadow line, turned, and looked back. The pupils were wide in the fading light. For a heartbeat, the busy world went mute. No cicadas, no road, no talk. There was only the animal and the man and a thin thread strung between them the way morning light hangs between two trees. Lila whispered, "You seeing this?" He couldn't answer. His throat had its own plans. He nodded instead. Then the lynx slipped into the trees. Not a leap, not a sprint. A dignified ghosting, as if to say that leaving is its own kind of grace. Days turned into a soft routine. Ethan checked the maple on his next patrol and cut every old loop from the trunk until nothing metal remained. He hauled the chain to the recycling yard, stayed to watch it vanish down the chute, and felt something lift off his shoulders. He wrote a note to hang at the trailhead. "Remove what you bring, even the things that seem harmless." He picked up fast food bags and a forgotten dog leash. Small rebellions against the way bad habits turn into cages. A month later, he was repairing a fence along the meadow when geese exploded off the river. He looked up in time to catch a streak of motion sliding the far edge of the clearing. Same ears, same stride, no limp. The cat didn't come close. It didn't need to. It paused where the sun made a bright square through the branches, looked his way, and lowered its head once. A nod, or maybe wind in tall grass playing tricks. He took it as enough. He went home that night and rinsed dust from the thermos Lila had given him. On the porch he poured coffee, and sometimes, when the yard got quiet and the stars pulled the roof higher, he told the darkest story about a chain that became a bridge. He told it the part that hurts and the part that heals. He told it the ending that still makes his voice break if he's not careful. Here it is. A careless piece of metal nearly took a wild life from this world. A stubborn man refused to let that be the last line. Somewhere in the pines, a scar on a foreleg glows pale when the sun is right, and a pair of yellow eyes keeps traveling toward tomorrow. That's all. That's enough. And if your eyes burn hearing it, then maybe you understand what he understood that day in the woods. Sometimes saving one small thing is how we save the part of ourselves that knows what mercy is.